Leckie leaves space for everybody to do their thing. He doesn't over embellish, and I love that about his work. You know, he's a brilliant man, and we were talking recently about the possibility of doing a book together, because his whole history comes from being totally non-musical. He says, so there's absolutely no way he's a musician. He grew up in an environment where music wasn't there, and his whole thing was science fiction, and he was taken by some friends from school to the Radio Luxembourg studios in Regent Street, and saw the control room and thought, I want to work in a place like that. And he'd just done his school dissertation on something to do with creating an oscillator. And a job came up at Abbey Road for a tape op, for an apprentice.
Yeah.
And so he went along for this. He was 18, maybe.
He's very young, certainly, yeah.
And he was taken in as Ken Townsend, who was deputy lead head then, and I can't remember the guy who was running the place at the time, and they interviewed him, and they gave him the job there and then, and the boss said to Ken Townsend, well, take young John around to the studios and have a look around the studios. And the first studio you walk into, coming out of the offices at the top, is Studio 2. And he walks in, and there's George Martin, who goes, oh, hello, nice to meet you, and I think Jeff Emerick. And they look down into the studio, and there's the Beatles, and Yoko Ono lying in a bed.
Okay.
And Ringo's there doing this, dum, dum, diddly, 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 diddly. And he thought, that's weird, it sounds like it's African. So he went home and told all his mates that the Beatles were making an African record, which was Come Together. And that's the first time that John had ever been into a studio, was witnessing...
Isn't that amazing?
That going on.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his whole background is like that. You know, he was tape up on Dark Side of the Moon, and got to his first. I think the first mix he ever did was a Syd Barrett track. I know which one it is, and it's gone out of my head. Plasticine Man. Anyway, his background is like that, and so he's part of that Abbey Road EMI training,